What has to be redacted? So here are some questions and a couple of observations that we'd like to share with you. Does the redaction rule require that the listed types of information be redacted? Yes, it does. It absolutely says explicitly in these rules that this is the kind of information that is confidential and must be redacted. Is the listing in the reduction rules a safe harbor? It's hard to say, because the Supreme Court is very interested in protecting confidential information, and the list is explicitly described as including but not limited to these number of things. And so you'll have to use your own expertise and do a case-by-case analysis of whether there's something that is or isn't required to be redacted. One suggestion that has been made is that any confidential information that's not legally required to be included in your filing should be omitted. It's just the safest practice. And so it may be different than what we've done in the past, but this is the new normal and may require a change of those old procedures to leave out anything that is not essential. And may required or necessary non-confidential information, which is nevertheless considered personal information, be redacted? We don't know. My suggestion is, especially at the beginning, if I were an attorney filing documents, I would rather be overly cautious than underly cautious. So if I had a question, if I'm not sure if it's personal information that ought to be treated as confidential, I would redact it. And the judge is always the arbiter of that. If someone else complains and says that information shouldn't be redacted, you can have a hearing on it, get a ruling on it, and then the judge has made a decision. And so it's not your call anymore. So a couple more observations. These rules are different than Court Operating Rule 2.05. That applies to some other specific kinds of information. One of those is very important. We see it a lot in our Court of Appeals documents, and that is Section 559.226. We are not required to expunge or redact Social Security numbers or personal information that appears in court cases. So lawyers and other filers will need to decide what information should be redacted in a document. And remember, that's the major takeaway from all of this. You are the filer. You need to be very careful in deciding what needs to be excluded or redacted from that document.